Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. This is episode 310. I still remember doing the very, very first episode. I talk about this all the time, that I came to my office to record it, knew I wanted to do a podcast, thought I wanted to do a podcast, really didn't know, had everything set in place. Took me 8 hours to record a 20-minute podcast. It was on a Saturday. I literally wanted to cry. It's like, you know what? If I'm going to do an episode every week, I don't have 8 hours to contribute to it. But like anything, you get better in time, and I got better. 8 hours became probably, not 4, 2, 1. Now it's just as simple as, hey, I've got a notion. Let me go ahead and click record and record a podcast and just share insights, share things that I come across. And I do appreciate everybody's involvement, everybody subscribing, listening. The comments I get from people, to be honest, I don't get many comments in the show notes. And that's okay, because I'll run into people and they'll say things mimicking things I've said on the podcast, so I know they've listened. People will share the podcast. I appreciate all that. It's good to know that you have impact, and the number of downloads just slowly increases over time. I do appreciate it. I realize 310 is not some great milestone. It's not episode 300. It's not episode 1000. But just of interest. It's just kind of moving along. Today I want to talk about just a little piece of Adam Grant's book, Give and Take. If you haven't read the book, you need to read the book. He's got 3 books out. This was probably my favorite of them. But there's one, as most people know, I don't do book reviews on here. It's a good book. Get it. It's worth reading. There's lots of things in here that I will cover from time to time, either directly or somehow or another indirectly. But there's one segment in the book. It's in the second section. The section is entitled The Peacock and the Panda. And he talks in here about a recruiter from LinkedIn. Her name is Stephanie, and she was asked who the most influential people on her career were, and one of the people she mentioned was Adam Rifkin. And she went on to, and when Rifkin found out he was on the list, he was a little taken back by being on the list, to be honest. Now, who is Adam Rifkin? There are a lot of Adams here, not Adam Grant, Adam Rifkin. Adam Grant refers to him as or indicates he's referred to as the giant panda of programming. In essence, the section is the peacock and the panda. I won't get into all of this stuff. But Rifkin is very well connected in Silicon Valley, really throughout the world. At one point, Adam Grant indicated that Rifkin had more LinkedIn in 2011. Rifkin had more LinkedIn connections to the 640 powerful people on Fortune's list than any other human being on the planet. He beat out luminaries like Michael Dell, the billionaire founder of Dell Computer, and the CEO of LinkedIn. Jeff Weiner was the CEO of LinkedIn, cited in here. Very well connected. So Rifkin was taken back when this woman put his name on the list as somebody who was very instrumental in her career. And the reason he was kind of taken back is because he really didn't know her. She had reached out to him, and he responded with some advice. It wasn't anything very memorable. And what Grant goes on to talk about is really what Rifkin did was he took the time to provide just a quick little favor for somebody. Hey, I need some advice. And I think it was done by text. It's not entirely clear here, but what he did was just respond to this recruiter from LinkedIn just with a text message saying, hey, this is what I would do. And this little mini subsection of the section of the book is called the 5-minute favor. And this recruiter named Stephanie, just basically got a 5-minute favor from Rifkin, and in turn was willing to reciprocate. Somehow, some way, the advice was, really that good. And it's an interesting concept that they talk about in here. This whole notion of the 5-minute favor. And I'm going to quote Adam Grant here. Quote, "This is a new spin on reciprocity. In traditional old school reciprocity, people operate like matchers, trading value back and forth with one another." And just quickly to interject, the term matcher he uses throughout the book to mean somebody who will do something for somebody if there's something calculated to receive in return. Hey, I'll do this for you, but I need this in return. Anyhow, continuing on with the quote, "We help the people who help us, and we give to people from whom we wanted something in return. But today, givers like Adam Rifkin are able to spark a more powerful form of reciprocity. Instead of trading value, Rifkin aims to add value. His giving is governed by a simple rule, the 5-minute favor. You should be," and this is a quote from Adam Rifkin, "you should be willing to do something that will take you 5 minutes or less for anybody." Anybody is italicized. And goes on to say that Rifkin doesn't think about what any of the people he helps will contribute back to him. He just does it. And that's the notion of the 5-minute favor, is that we do things for people, or we should be doing things for people. If it's 5 minutes or less, why not? And I get it. 5 minutes add up. If you have 100 people asking for 5 minutes throughout your day, you really don't have much of a day. But in reality, it doesn't necessarily work that way. I'm sure, we all have boundaries, and there are things we can respond to quicker than others. But if there's somebody we know and they need a 5-minute favor, is there, hey, do you know a podcast I could be on? Or, I've got a hole in my podcast schedule. Is there somebody you might recommend? Or give me some names. I'm kind of running short on guests. Or I need a topic, or whatever it might be. Those are 5-minute favors. Now, a 5-minute favor isn't, hey, introduce me to all the people who could be great clients for me. That's a bit of a stretch. 5-minute favors are things that are, they're things that they're useful to people, but they're of the ilk of, hey, teach me to fish as opposed to give me a fish. Can you show me what I need to do? Can you give me some insight on baiting a hook? Just to kind of continue on with that metaphor. But that's the notion of the 5-minute favor. And I've read this book a number of times, give and take, by Adam Grant. I've read this book a number of times, so much so that I actually did an outline of it. I figure, okay, I keep rereading this book, and I've got all these highlights in here. I don't know who invented the highlighter, but we highlight things and then we never go back and reread them. But I went back and I'm like, okay, I've got all these highlights. These things are obviously important, and I just went through and I typed up my highlights. Kind of put some transitions in and whatnot, so it made sense. But I have an outline. I have a 15-page outline of the book, and so I will go and review that from time to time. And I'm not going to share it because buy the book. Adam Grant has a great book here. The other one, I won't get into his other books. He's got books. Just do a search on Adam Grant. He's got so much good material out there. But the whole notion of the 5-minute favor is really powerful, and it's very interesting because at one point, just to kind of elaborate a little bit about Dr. Adam Grant, he's a psychology professor at the Wharton School of Business. I was writing an article. I forget what I was writing the article on, but there was something that was spurred by something he said. It was either something he said on Twitter or something in one of his books. And I wanted to write an article just taking a deeper dive into a study that he talked about in one of his books. And so I reached out to him. I'm trying to think how I reached out to him. It may have been through Facebook Messenger. It may have been through LinkedIn. It may have been just an email. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But I just asked Dr. Grant, I said, hey, listen, I want to write this article. You mentioned this in the book. I didn't see a citation for it. Could you please provide me the citation, and I can go get the article. I can go get the study. Thinking, okay, I'm probably going to have to pay $30 to get this study because these these researchers out there, they do this work, and it's available for the academic world really for free. But for somebody who's a commercial person like me, you got to pay. I get it; it's no big deal. It's a cost of doing business. So I reached out to Adam. I just said, listen, if you can give me the citation, I would really appreciate it. Just a 5-minute favor. Figure he could, just point me in the right direction, send me a link. And he did. I was shocked. I thought, okay, what's my plan B? He probably won't respond to me. He's a big author. And he did. He responded. But he not only gave me the citation, he said, I'll do one better. And he sent me the study. I was totally floored. So I'm inspired by the whole notion of the 5-minute favor. For me to introduce people to people, and when I get on people's podcasts, I continually say it, everybody I know could benefit from somebody else I know. And so to make these introductions, hey, this guy would be a great person on your podcast, or here's if you're looking for a podcast to be on, I want to introduce you to this person, whatever it is. You two play in the same space but sell different things. You ought to talk to each other. Or, you're essentially competitors, but I still think that there's an opportunity for the two of you. Those are little 5-minute things, these introductions, sharing information. Hey, did you see this out there? Those are all little 5-minute favors we can be doing for one another. And again, I'm not saying consume your day with them, but if every day you were willing to do a few 5-minute favors, just imagine the favor you would build up in the world. And what I mean by favor is that, people, you remain on people's radar. Wow, I can't believe, like Adam Grant, he actually sent me the study. I don't have to go pay I don't have to go find it. I don't have to pay $30 to get it or whatever it is. Actually, truth be told, I have an in. My brother-in-law he's a science writer, and he has access to those things. Shout out to Jeff Grabmeyer. But nevertheless, to save me that effort was huge. And, I think the world of Adam Grant, not just because he writes these great books, but he walks his talk. And that's not true of everybody. So think about it as you go throughout the day. People are going to ask things of you, and sometimes I'll ask things of people, and I get ghosted. They pretend like it didn't happen. I'm just not even going to respond. I'm going to hit delete. It'll just go away. In other words, they're not willing to do the 5-minute favor for me. And that's okay. I don't keep a list of who those people are. I just tend to forget. I go to my plan B and try and figure out what I need, and there's always another source. There's always another angle, and I figure it out. But I try to come through for people. I'm sure there are people out there who say, you failed me. But I try. I try to come through, and I think there's a power in the 5-minute favor. We can all build one another up to a great extent, build our networks up with these 5-minute favors, making introductions, giving referrals, sharing opportunities, sharing little insights, sharing encouragement. Those are all things that we can do to certainly help one another. Along the lines of 5-minute favors, if you know of an entrepreneur, business owner, professional that seems to really enjoy networking, appears to be well connected, maybe they're involved with the chamber or another networking organization, that would be a great person for me to meet. I would love to meet them. If you would share my information with them or share their information with me, really the best way to do it is just email them and email me at the same time and just say, hey, the two of you should talk. That would be a wonderful opportunity. how I grow AmSpirit Business Connections, how I find franchisees for this organization, is just talk with those people. They know people. They may not be the franchise for me, but I share about our franchise opportunity. I certainly learn about them as well. That's how many of my guests come from. These great opportunities, talking with really well-connected people. They're just little introductions. Hey, you need to meet this person. They're really well-connected. But I share about the franchise opportunity, and through that, they may introduce me to somebody else. But eventually, I'm talking to the people I need to be talking to, people who would be great for the franchise opportunity, somebody well-connected, somebody who really cares about people in their community, really wants to help other business professionals, and is interested in the business opportunity of AmSpirit Business Connections. So that'd be a great 5-minute favor for me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.